In this edition of Behind the Gate, we visit with Tom Ventura, president of Ocala Breeder Sales. The company has grown to be the leader in two-year-old thoroughbred sales. OBS sells around $150 million annually worldwide. Behind the Gate is presented by Horse Farms Forever.
Ocala Breeder Sales was founded in 1974, and it was by a group of local horsemen and breeders. It just needed, they felt, an outlet of their own to help market their own horses. You know, they started with a raw piece of land, and it started with just 6 barns, about 250 stalls. Today we sit at 28 barns, 1,200 stalls. Didn't have a racetrack initially. We now have 2 racetracks. We have a 5/8 mile dirt track. We have a mile all-weather track. So it's come a long way in over 40 years, and you know, with the only way it got to that stage was support of the local horsemen and breeders, and then it grew from a relatively regional marketplace to an international marketplace where we are today. So right now we sell about $150 million worth of horses a year. You know, at the end of the day, we're only as good as the horses we get to sell, so we need the support of the people to bring the horses here. Our job is to make sure that we have a nice facility, that we can attract the clientele, and that we can put on a nice auction. And we think we've done our job well there, but the support of the horses is really what makes us successful. And you know, to sell $150 million worth of horses is significant, over $1 billion in less than 10 years. So that has been very satisfying to see the growth of that. And one of the areas that we dominate basically is the two-year-old and training sales. The two-year-old and training sales have become almost the center of attraction in the industry. We sell over 70% of the two-year-olds in training in the United States, and we sell over 50% in North America and Europe. So we dominate that part of the market, and there's good reason for that. It's been a steady flow of quality horses that have come through our auction. There's nothing more iconic than the Kentucky Derby. And so we go back many years to Little E.T., who sold here for $25,000. He was our first Kentucky Derby winner. And that's important because that's a kickoff point. That gets people to noticing where those horses were sold. And then we had Silver Charm, a locally bred horse. He was sold here as a yearling for $16,000. He came back and sold again for $100,000 as a two-year-old in training. Bob Baffert got the horse. He won the Kentucky Derby and was on the verge of winning the Triple Crown. So that was exciting. And then I'll have another, was the most recent Kentucky Derby winner. And he also won both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness in the week of Belmont, had to scratch from that. And last year we had a very good year. We were fortunate that we sold 3 horses that won the Eclipse Awards. We sold Matoli, who was the sprint champion. He was also second in the Horse of the Year. We sold Midnight Basu, who was the champion filly. And we sold Storm the Court, who was a 2-year-old champion. He won the Breeders' Cup, and the horse that was second in the voting in the 2-year-old championship was Structor. One of the things we did several years ago was to put a covered area where the horses came up. As you know, in Florida, we have to deal with heat, we have to deal with rain, and to give the buyers and sellers an opportunity to show their horses and to inspect their horses right before they get into the ring. And then as time went on, we wanted to kind of work on our customer-friendly areas. We wanted to work on the dining areas and areas where people would relax. And it morphed into a monster project that we ended up with and had expansion on both sides of the buildings. We more or less gutted the entire facility. So now we have a concourse around the auditorium. We have nice windows where they can watch the action without being in the middle of the action. We eliminated some seating, but we didn't think that was an issue because at a horse sale, people aren't sitting down for 2 or 3 hours at a time. They're constantly moving. So one of the things we wanted to make sure there was plenty of space in between the rows where people can get in and out without interfering with everybody every time you go. One of the areas that really turned out nice, in my opinion, is the bar area. It's elevated. You can see the horses as they're entering the ring. And then the other side is where we added additional dining space. We reworked the show areas in the barn. We've repaved them, we've made them wider, we made them to where you can show a little easier. It's something that the buyers and sellers certainly appreciate. I'm very proud of where we landed. We have a facility now that will stack up with any sales facility in the world. So when I first came to Ocala, and I'm a city boy, basically, but I've loved the horses, and I was able to come up to Ocala, and initially there really wasn't even the paddock mall. So it was very horse oriented, and it still is. And I think one of the things that I was fortunate is that while I grew up in the suburbs of New York, my sons were born on a 800-acre horse farm, and just that alone is tremendous. Our members, we have the shareholders that have farms and training centers and are deeply rooted, multi-generational families that are in the horse business. And it is the Horse Farms Forever. Its purpose is to help protect the culture that we have here in town, and we think it's just a logical connection for OBS to be a part of it. It's truly part of the character of what Ocala and Marion County has become. Our sales, sometimes that's their initial exposure to the state of Florida, and it helped put Ocala on the map. It's nice to have the industry that we have here, and it's important that we grow and we have some retirement communities. All those things are good. But really what put Ocala and Marion County on the map is the horses, and I think it needs to stay that way.
You can learn more about Ocala breeder sales by visiting obssales.com. And to learn more about preserving the character and culture of Ocala, Marion County, visit horsefarmsforever.com. Horse Farms Forever, open spaces, beautiful places.